tonight, and also new tonight, the 7 News I-Team's Lisa Fletcher has spent years uncovering quality concerns in some generic drugs. And now those same concerns are prompting action inside the Department of Defense.
The military has started independently testing medicines in its own supply chain, an effort that could have implications not just for troops, but for every American who takes a prescription drug.
The U.S. military tests almost everything it depends on: weapons, vehicles, body armor. But one thing troops rely on every day has mostly been taken on trust: the medicines in their bottles. And now, inside this New Haven lab, that trust is being tested.
This is where you're detecting the contaminants.
Yes.
David Light is the co-founder and president of Valashore. His lab is testing essential generic medicines used by the military. The majority of those drugs, as we've exposed in previous investigations, are purchased from Indian manufacturers with little regulatory oversight, many with a history of serious FDA violations.
We see in our data a correlation to higher rates of carcinogens and contaminants when they're made overseas.
For a civilian, that can mean a drug doesn't work as expected. For a service member, it can become a readiness issue. If a drug performs inconsistently and destabilizes a condition, it can affect whether they're deployable.
There's 2 buckets of concern, really. One is safety, toxins, carcinogens, impurities that are really alarming, and then also effectiveness.
Test results from Valashore are making their way to congressional hearings.
Thank you for the honor of being able to speak before you today.
And the highest levels of the DoD. The lab's already found batches of the blood pressure medication valsartan contained cancer-linked contaminants tied to rocket fuel production. Generic Lipitor, the most widely prescribed statin, contained heavy metals like lead and arsenic. And the most common generic diabetes drug, metformin, had a potential carcinogen 10 times the regulatory limit.
You're ingesting something for your own health and how you live, so we need to take that very seriously.
Retired Colonel Vic Suarez led the military's medical logistics and supply chains for nearly 3 decades. Now he's sounding the alarm about the quality of the drugs flowing through them.
We're not making T-shirts. We're not selling things in through the dollar store. We're making medicines, but we have a dollar store mentality with these generic medicines. We're treating them like low-level commodities like paper clips.
Suarez coordinated Valashore's agreement to test drugs for the Department of Defense and do what's never been done: assign a quality indicator. Red means major quality concerns. Yellow means concern. Green means lower risk. Early military testing shows more than 1 in 4 of drugs tested scored either yellow or red.
You have a market failure that simply motivates everyone to get the lowest possible price, even if it has higher risk of contaminants, of carcinogens, of not working properly.
Right now, we're rewarding the people that are actually racing to the bottom. They're getting a bigger market share. So it's a perverse incentive right now, and that's what needs to flip.
Doing so, says Suarez, will mean safer generics for everyone.
What role do you think military drug purchasing is going to have in turning around the quality of drugs used in the U.S.?
I think it has a big impact.
With roughly an $8 billion budget for prescription drugs, about 2% of the market in the U.S., the military has the power to shift the entire system.
This is the time now to fix the pharmaceutical supply chain issue that is right in front of us. This is the time to do it.
And new results of that study, Scott, are expected out this summer. Of course, we will be closely watching.
Well, we heard him say this is the time now. So, Lisa, what makes this such an important next chapter in all of the reporting you've been doing?
It shifts the controversy from public health to national security. The military is one of the country's largest purchasers of prescription drugs. And if it can identify quality differences between manufacturers, it will change how and what the military buys, meaning manufacturers will probably be forced to step up or be iced out.
Well, and very hard for the rest of the country to ignore it if the military says this isn't good enough for our people. You as the traditional consumer have to be concerned. Why is the Department of Defense, though, getting involved when this is something that traditionally would be the FDA's job?
Well, the FDA inspects overseas manufacturing facilities, and what our reporting has revealed is it does not have the personnel or the resources to do that adequately. On top of that, the FDA does not test medicine before it reaches patients. The military wanted another layer of information. For decades, purchasing decisions have been driven by price, and this is a new effort that asks a different question. Should drug quality and effectiveness influence the medicines that the military buys?
Well, good on them for now getting really involved in this whole saga. And then, of course, good on you for keeping this in the forefront with the media and making sure this reporting sees light of day, because that's going to put the pressure on other people to say we need to act or at least look into it more. So,
yeah, and we understand President Trump is paying attention to this. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Great work, Lisa, and we know that you'll stay on top of it. For anyone out there, if you want to see more of Lisa's reporting on the problems with America's generic drugs, just go to WJLA.com, or you can scan that QR code that you see right now on your screen. We're going to keep this code up for a few more seconds here as we head to the break.